from Dr. Everaldo Feitosa. Everaldo is the managing director of Eolica in Brazil, based in Recife. And Everaldo, he's been working many years as a developer. Before that, Everaldo, you were also a professor at the university, and you've also been involved in associations. You've been on the board of World Wind Energy Association also many years. Again, more than 20 years of experience in wind power in Brazil, but also with international background. Now we have the pleasure to hearing from you how Brazil is doing these days. Everaldo, you are with us. I've seen you. No? Ah, there we are. Okay.
Okay, right.
A warm welcome to Recife, and now the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Stefan. Well, I'm going, in spite of the bad situation in Brazil related to the COVID and the government without sense of responsibility, at least I can say to you some of the good news related to wind and solar energy. Can I have the first slide, please, Stefan? Yes. Okay, I'm going to very quickly have this broad brush on the figures on wind and solar energy in Brazil. Next one, please. So this is the real numbers of last year, Brazil installed capacity. And in reality, it's very important to see that wind is the second source of energy. In reality, in this pizza graphic, the wind is the orange side. And the first one is hydro with 103 gigawatts. The second one is wind with 18 gigawatts of installed capacity. When you sum up the hydro, wind, biomass, small hydro, and solar PV altogether, we have 145 gigawatts of installed capacity. And in reality, this is equivalent to 83% of renewable energy in Brazil. So this is a very high number, and it's very important to say that in spite of the political situation in Brazil, renewables, mainly wind and solar, are still keeping the pace, and this is at least some good news. Next slide, please. Okay, in this slide, we can see the two main sources of wind. That's the wind and solar. So wind in operation, we have 18 gigawatts in operation, 4.2 gigawatts in construction, and 7.9 gigawatts in development. It's very important to mention that when I say 7.9 gigawatts in development, these are projects ready to build. So they are ready for the free market or ready for the auction system in Brazil. So in reality, wind is keeping the pace, as I said before. On the other side, solar, in the left side of this slide, I'm showing only the centralized solar PV, not the small residential and the distributed power that's also increasing. So we have 3.3 gigawatts in operation, 1.2 in construction, and 13.5 ready to build. Next one, please. So therefore, we have this kind of growth. It's important to mention the total number of nearly 18,000 megawatts in 2020. And we can see that in spite of the situation that we have, as I mentioned before, we have an optimistic scenario of having 40,000 megawatts in the year 2030. So this was a prognosis that we have made during the last conference in Rio, in Brazil, of our association. So the tendency to reach 40 gigawatt in 2030 is still a very high tendency, and we are very optimistic related to that. Next one, please. So one of the main reasons for this kind of attitude favorable to winds is related to the average capacity factor of wind farms in Brazil. So in reality, we have this is the average, 42.7%. So most of the wind farms at the moment in the Northeast, they are operating at 50% capacity factor, 53% capacity factor. Therefore, with this kind of fuel, of very high quality fuel, we can have very low prices of wind energy. Prices in the range of $17, $20, $25 per megawatt hour. So this is one of the main reasons why, in spite of the political negative effect in Brazil, we are still having this tendency to grow. Next one, please. So related to solar, it's very important to mention the exponential growth of distributed power PV. So in this graphic, let's concentrate on the year 2020. So the orange is the centralized solar PV, and the light yellow is the distributed PV. So in reality, the distributed PV is increasing more rapidly than the centralized solar. And at the moment, we have nearly 70% of the projects in Brazil distributed solar PV. So we have nearly 5,000 megawatts of distributed solar PV in Brazil. So the tendency is to increase. Of course, the technology of solar is very simple compared with wind. And so this is one of the reasons why we still have a vast area of exponential growth in solar in Brazil. Next one, please. So just to give you an idea, when I say that the two main markets are the auction and the free market, what we are having now is 10% of the produced energy in Brazil by the solar projects are sold in the free market, and 30% of all the wind installations, all the energy generated by the wind installation are directed to the free market. So the tendency is to have 50% of the electricity from the both solar and wind going to the free market. Therefore, we have giant perspectives, and mainly at the moment with the tendency of the companies to be involved in green and renewable energy. Next one, please. So when I make this kind of presentation, trends for 2024, why 2024? Because in reality, in Brazil, the auctions and mainly the free market, you have the contracts in which if you sign a contract today, you have to deliver the energy in 4 years' time. So in reality, this is a very important graphic in which it is very real, showing all the contracts signed up to 2020. So in reality, this is reality. All the projects will be installed and operating by 2024. So we can see here the wind with the number of 2080, nearly 20,000 megawatt of installed capacity in 2024. That's very important, very big numbers. That's the reason why we believe that we are going to reach 40,000 megawatt in 2030. Next one, please. And the same as solar, you see what I have mentioned before, the exponential growth of the distributed solar PV, the light yellow. And of course, the orange is a centralized solar PV. The centralized, we have something like 10 15% of contribution in Brazil. So I would say that in next years, well, next 4-5 years, the tenants will go for distributed solar PV and large wind power plants in Brazil. Next one. I think that this is the last slide. I would like to thank you for the time and the attention for my presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Stefan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Everaldo. That's been very encouraging to see how the market develops. I know, of course, we know that the situation now in general in your country is not so easy, so we wish you all the best for that. Still, we all remember that many of us visited you not that long ago, a bit over a year ago, before all this pandemic started, and actually the last World Wind Energy Conference for the time being we came together in Rio de Janeiro in November 2019. At that time, we did not really expect that for the time being we rely on such a format to meet and exchange information. Yeah. Yes, but also I think it is very important to see how the market in Brazil develops on a power purchase agreement basis. That's something that we've also seen from Australia, where the government is not so much driving the development, but it's really the enterprises, citizens that are investing, and because just it makes sense economically. So Everaldo, I don't see any questions for you. Again, thank you very much, and I'm sure people will still be interested in your presentation. It will also be made available after this webinar on YouTube.
Okay. Just one comment, Steph. I think it's very important considering the situation of the COVID in Brazil. So in spite of a government without any sense of responsibility, what we see is that the companies are really going to another direction, So this is the reason why we are having this kind of increasing of solar and wind in Brazil. Yeah. So as you said before, we in Brazil are neglecting the government, neglecting the situation, assuming that we are going to change the president in 2022 and go in the right direction. So this is what we expected to have next year, something different from what we are having in Brazil at the moment.
Thank you very much. And I mean, we can see now, I hope we will see what will happen in the United States. I think at the moment it seems like we will have the big economic powers, European Union, China, and the United States. They start now a competition, and I think we're very keen on seeing more countries, major and smaller countries, to join this competition. Who is going to be the first in renewable energy? I'm sure that that's going to happen in the very, very near future.